Hi, my name is Lenka Lutonska. I'm a creator of Business Energetics, author of Energetic Selling and Marketing, and you're about to listen to an amazing episode where I'm going to share with you how to tap into creative consciousness when it comes to entrepreneurship and building your business, and therefore, through following the trail of energy, collapse timelines and create a lot more success but working less in a way that fulfills you rather than drains you. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And as you would know, on this show, we go deeper than tactics and funnels. We actually go to the core of what's actually blocking your growth. And I'm really excited and absolutely delighted and also a little bit nervous to introduce our guest, Dr. Lenka Lutonska. Now, Lenka, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a little bit starstruck and a little bit nervous, like I said, you know what I mean? It's not every day that we have people of your caliber on the show, and especially the fact that you're the founder of Business Energetics, and you're also the woman that helps CEOs, change makers, impact leaders to actually break through invisible barriers and expand in alignment. Now, that's a lot of work, all right? And you actually help them to scale in ways that don't drain their soul. I'm excited to have you on the show, and knowing where you've come from and what it is that you're doing, it's all very exciting. So just jumping straight into it, you made a bold move at age 19 and left Slovakia, right? Nearly not speaking any English, and you landed a job at McDonald's. Tell us a little bit about your start and your journey and what was happening at that time.
Thank you, sure. And it wasn't as bold move as one like to think so, because I ran away. I ran away from myself. As a teenager, I was, I guess you would say today, spiritually awakening fast. And I was not a very happy teenager, completely refusing the traditional route my family set out for me, which was to go and study banking and finance, to work in big organization, traditional path. So the year when I was supposed to start the university, or during that summer before I was supposed to start, I really took any opportunity I found, which was go and become au pair in London. And I jumped on a bus with 30 pounds and I ran away from the path that was in front of me that I didn't want to. But really, I was running away from me. I was unhappy. I was bulimic. I was crying almost every day. I was deeply unhappy with myself. So, of course, I dragged myself with me on the bus, unfortunately. So once I was in London, I lasted as an au pair for entirely 3 weeks. I was terrible. And after that, McDonald's felt sorry for me and they employed me, you see. So I started as a cleaner in McDonald's and worked my way up really, really quickly to business management and operational management. And yes, there was a lot of would you like fries with that, but actually I'm incredibly grateful for that experience, because within the 6 years I worked for McDonald's, not only I felt supported, I developed my leadership skills, I became award-winning business manager, working with managing hundreds of people and millions in turnover. So that helped me for what were to come. And that was ultimately, throughout those 6 years, I studied anything and everything to do with human mind. Ultimately ended up with NLP towards the end, neuro linguistic programming, which was to me was cheat code or a key. Let's go. I can start helping other people now. I can do what I want to do, and that's change the world one person by one person, group by group, and help me. So I helped myself, sorted all of my, if you like, confidence issues and eating disorders and a whole lot there. So that's what got me started, and that's not where I ended. But that was the humble beginning of what is today Business Energetics.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us there, because this really formulates the foundation of, you as a person. But you keep repeating that you were running away from yourself. Now, if you could maybe just shed light to what that self was that you were running away from.
Deeply unfulfilled, and of course, as a teenager, as we know, the hormones play havoc in teenage bodies and minds. So there was certainly part of it, but I was simply deeply unhappy with what my very well-meaning traditional family and society wanted from me. That wasn't me. And actually, as I'm now answering that question, that's very, very, very similar or same story that many ambitious entrepreneurs live. Doing entrepreneurship the right way, the hardworking way. We're doing everything that is expected of us, that the good, powerful entrepreneur is meant to do, but that's not fitting with many of us. As in, I know the traditional pathway that is the right way really was making me deeply unhappy. I knew I'd never be fulfilled with systems and banking and so forth. I was all about people, which wasn't almost allowed because it's not, I would not be taken seriously enough. I had to represent the family really well and so forth. And it's similar in entrepreneurship oftentimes, where we consciously or unconsciously fall into these ways of doing the business where we've got to keep up with what everyone else is doing, and we're using the tactics and techniques that everyone else is applying, or we learn from the best, and we're getting burned out, we're getting unfulfilled, we're feeling like we're selling our soul. I know that traditional business at one point almost cost me marriage and health. So that's who I was, or where I was when I was teenager. And later on, I lived a little similar story when I got drowned and was slave of traditional business building. And I'm saying no more to that.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. Now, obviously, fish don't see the water that they're swimming in. All right. So I can imagine the other kids and the other families would have thought the way that you were running away from was the normal way, and that was how it was supposed to be. Now, your parents, if you are okay to answer this, what sort of roles did they have in this traditional society that would have warranted that they wanted something out of you?
Well, yes, my parents are coming from communism. You know that that regime fell down when I was still young, but that's where we came from. So and we had to traditionally, there was a lot of pressure, and there still is in my country. I come from small country of Slovakia,
Right.
to keep the head up and to just don't go too high with your head up or don't go too low. Just status quo, keep in line. So that's where they come from. So my father was a policeman,
Right.
and very harsh with me, extremely harsh with children. As in, you've got to keep up. Upbringing at that time, what was accepted was very different to what it is now. So there was physical abuse. You know, it was ugly. That was part of my story when I had to heal for over many, many years, heal a relationship with myself because of that, but also relationship with him. And my mom was keeping up. She was working in as administrator for a local council, you could say. And later they had a go when the communism fell down, they had a go at entrepreneurship. But I learned all the not so good things what entrepreneurship can do, as in my dad wasn't fantastic in managing the money or putting priorities together. So my mom was often left with no money to pay for employees, and there was a lot of not obvious, but a lot of energy of lack in the family and blaming, and I don't have the money, I don't have. So from there, I developed primarily some limiting beliefs about money and entrepreneurship and so forth. But again, to answer your question simply, it's mainly the communism mindset, and I've got a belong mindset that made them so strict, I guess.
And I understand. And thank you so much for taking us there, because that then really paints a picture of the thing that you would have wanted to escape from. But also, when people are escaping or running away from something, they're running towards something. Now, what was the allure of the UK? You could have gone anywhere else in and around, Europe there. Why the United Kingdom?
Universe, destiny, God brought me here because it was so random, Prosper.
Okay.
In English lessons, I did learn English, little, but I did. In English lessons, we were taught by our English teacher that London is amazing, cosmopolitan city, and the dreams come true in London. And so I really, when the opportunity came to become an au pair in London, I thought, oh my goodness, this is my chance. I'm going to change the world. So it was quite random, quite accidental, but that's what brought me here.
Absolutely. And usually when a spark has been created, you always would want to work towards, getting to that sort of destination. But what were the conversations like with the other kids that obviously would have just wanted to live within the status quo? What was the relationship with your peers?
There was only one friend I would dare to have these conversations with.
Okay.
And those were very long conversations over hours and hours about the values, I guess, that our parents and country are a little different to the values that were awakening in us, but also about things such as God, or what is consciousness, or this is where I was really exploring with a dear friend energy, which became a big part of my work later. So I had that one friend I could explore things with. Plus, I must say, a very unlikely person, and that was a priest, a local priest that almost, I could say, took me under his wings. And I was challenging everything I could about the Roman Catholic, that's what I was brought up, God, version of God. And again, through those exploration, I was, if you like, introduced into the world of energy, gently. I didn't even call it that at the time. But those were only two people I could explore these things with. Yes.
Absolutely, because you see, representation matters. When you see people when you see people like yourself or people that are seemingly in the same sort of mindset, then it actually perpetuates whatever goal or dream that happens. Were there any other external role models, maybe say people that were you would see from afar, and you'd be like, you know what, one day if I just had at least that smile, that look, that message, I think my life will be set?
At the time, truthfully, no, I didn't have external models. I had, which is bizarre thinking I was so young, I had internal vision, or just vague dream perhaps, that yes, I wanted to live well, as in I want to live in a big house. I don't want to be cleaning my house every time, because I had to every day do lots of cleaning at home, and I didn't like it. But also I saw how helping other people. I can't explain it. I literally saw me speaking with many women at the time. So I had these snippets of, I guess at the time, a dream, which now I understand it much better. It was a vision, very slowly revealing itself, and ultimately it became a reality. But I had it very internal rather than external. I want to become someone, or like someone.
You see, you've now gone on and learned all these tools and things like that, but so many people would have had or received visions, but not a lot of people followed through with any of those
Oh,
visions, because each and every one of us, we're endowed with a path or with a way of being that we need to follow through, right? But some people just are blind to that and things of that nature. So would you say being exposed to this priest was now opening you up to be confident in the visualization that you're having in order for you to take action on it? Because
it happened a lot later, when I started to really trust my vision and a dream. Because my journey, as I became an accidental entrepreneur, I just wanted to help other people. So I became a coach and a trainer of NLP and so forth. And ultimately, after a few years, I lost that business quite abruptly to a corporate psychopath. So that was a nasty experience, but I knew I'm going to rebuild the business. I knew that going back to work was not a question. But in that period, it felt terribly long, 2 years. Through that period, I lived what I now called a dark night of the soul, when I was full on in a struggle mode, as in full on lack, financial lack, emotional lack, identity lack, full on struggle and lack. And as I was climbing my way, and that is what actually connected with my deep spirituality in the deepest possible way. And during that period of 2 years, of course, I was doing whatever I could to rebuild my business. So I worked very, very hard. I would be talking for free as a speaker at any networking event, anywhere where they would let me speak, I would speak. And I would be sitting sometimes even at home for 15 hours at the computer, trying to do marketing, trying to organize my own events, and so forth and so forth. However, results were not there, clients were not there. And one day when I was coming home from one of these networking events, where I was talking again how amazing coach I am, and I can help you with this or that, and the reception was quite warm. It was very inspirational, Lenka, thank you so much. But ultimately I was walking away with no client, no money, and I was driving home. I was crying so hard, because I couldn't believe just how much effort I'm putting into it, and it looked like my vision is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So I started to ask my questions really angrily, or universe or God, what does it actually take? What does it actually take to do this? And maybe I'm not meant to. Maybe I was wrong all along. This image, this vision in my head and heart, maybe it's all wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with me, because if I were to succeed, I would by now. And it's in that moment of deep desperation when I heard or felt this message from within me that felt like divine message saying, Lenka, you would never be able to feel the desire in your heart if you were not meant to live it. I would not be lying to you. The vision doesn't lie. It's not that you want it, you're meant to live it. It's how the universe wants to express itself through you. So this experience is hard to explain with words because it was very visceral, but I felt in that moment deep within my body that which we authentically desire, meaning our heart expands when we think of that those visions or those dreams, those intentions, those, some people call it goals if they excite you, call them what you like. They're not just the fragments of our imagination. They're not a matter of maybe, or I need to create it from scratch. They're literally the version of ourselves wanting to birth itself through us. That's how the universe wants to live through us. So that was the moment that helped me to truly believe in a vision in a way that the vision deserves, and that actually created a lot of momentum later on. Yes.
Congratulations, because not a lot of people can hear that distinct voice that keeps telling them, I've got you, it is going to work, and things of that nature, right? And no matter what would have been happening in front of you, that belief of you listening and then continuing, I think we're going to visit that a little bit later because it's very, very interesting, that part. So you did mention you lost your business. Tell us a little bit about, that partnership collapse that you did mention, was through a corporate greedy
Psychopath. I know. Crazy story. This is a story like from movie, and a lot of it I either released or suppressed. So it's going to be a little bit fragmented, or how I frame it.
Whatever you're
But
comfortable with.
yes. So I manifested it. I created it. Because in that first business, which I dearly loved, after I left McDonald's and so forth, and I built it from ground up, where I was coaching, training, oftentimes board members and leaders from big corporations, scientists from Cambridge University, and many different people from different walks of life in NLP, in communication, in sales skills, NLP, using NLP techniques and so forth. And my business was doing well. It was, I could say, over time, it was thriving, but inside I had this unsatiated, of course, hunger to grow the impact and business, but also a fear, well, business is doing okay. We're doing okay now. At the time, by that point, I started a young family, I married and so forth. So by that point, business was doing okay, but I had a fear. What if I lose it all? What if my sink will ship at some point? Which was, by the way, the story of my parents when they had a go at entrepreneurship. So I lived through what it means to lose the business, and it was quite ugly. So I had this clearly unresolved fear in me, which I didn't deal with, which I didn't face. It was just there. But I was too busy serving. I was too busy helping other people and trying to build the business further. So I never really attended to that fear fully. But did I want to grow the business? Oh my goodness, of course. So I prayed, and I got my prayer. I got my savior answer to my prayers. I got one of my clients actually who offered he could mentor me to expand my work deeper or more into corporate world, and he could become ultimately even my business partner because he knew everyone and so forth. So it's this past client business mentor and potential business partner that actually was later, much later, to make a sense out of it, turned out that he is a corporate psychopath, and he was thriving on simply seeing how much power he could take from me and over me, and ultimately he wanted to destroy me. Those were the last words from him. I thought I could destroy you, and I almost succeeded. Those were the last words I heard from him. So he was ultimately manipulating me over the period of 9 months. He sold me his computer secondhand with a funny story. So I started to, didn't know, of course, but I was using a computer to which he had remote access to. And from there, story. So, and it became very ugly to the point where I would almost willingly, through hearing all these stories, I would willingly cut relationships with amazing clients. I thought I'm being investigated. I ultimately went to police station like a lunatic, in tears, just arrest me now. It was ugly, but yes, one day when I lost it all, meaning everything that makes business a business, client database, website, of course the savings and so forth. So that was gone. So the one day I woke up from the bubble and understood that it was orchestrated by him from the beginning, from 9 months back. It was very carefully orchestrated. So that was the story. So yes, it sent me down emotionally and identity-wise into abyss. But it's from the depths of that where I believe I was being prepared for my best work.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Now, given your track or past where your parents had gone through a business loss, obviously that fear would have been sitting on you. And there's also a fear that I'm sensing that you haven't mentioned, the fear that as anyone who's left their home country, you always have to actually succeed, because then if you don't, that whole going back with your tail between your legs is much more painful than what you actually left. And am I correct in having that sort of assumption that that also was lingering on you? And
100% having to, or wanting to, or feeling like having to prove to my parents, to everyone I left behind, and also at that point just prove to myself and my children. My kids were very young at the time, but I thought, oh my goodness, I want to be a good man. I want to provide for my children a little bit of freedom. And I thought I'll never make it. So it was that, the proving. I call it today, a prostitute archetype. I'm being a little playful, but it's true. We all have it in us, energetic archetype, when we are sourcing our value and who we are through other people, be it our parents, our clients, through those testimonials, through that praise. You're doing a great job, or I couldn't live without you, or the numbers, the sales revenues, and so forth. Or likes, that gives me the sense of how good I am and who I am. So there was a lot of it. Yes, my prostitute archetype was well alive and active.
absolutely. Now, obviously, you did talk about proving, and usually the way we keep score, especially in business, is through a figure in a bank or things of that nature, even though that's not the way it happens. You got a call from the bank.
Yes. Well, you're talking about at the time when I was searching for money to get a bank. Which bank you meaning? You dig out some story. Tell me.
You only had $7.30.
Yeah, yes,
$7.30, yeah, in the bank.
yes, yes. £7.30. I know. That was one of those multiple wake up moments, shake up moments. This one got me out of my call it limiting beliefs or bubble, that if I'm a good and powerful professional, if I'm a respected professional, let's say very good coach, at the time I was a coach, I'm very good coach, I'm very good service provider, I'm very good agency owner, I'm a very good at what I do. So of course clients will ask to work with me. I'm not going to actively pitch because I don't want them to think I'm desperate. So at the time, it was in that period when I was really struggling, those at the end of those 2 years of full-on struggle. And yes, I was working very hard. I was doing lots of talks, trying to do lots of marketing, emails, and so forth. But I never directly asked those people that I thought could be interested in what I do. Would you like to talk about it? I can help you to solve this problem. Basically giving them opportunity to say yes or no. I was too shy. I thought I would come across as desperate or needy. So I was, again, proving myself, waiting for them to ask. And that day that you're talking about, the call from the bank, I dropped in the morning kids to school. And on the way back, I stopped at the local supermarket thinking I'm going to get a few things for family dinner and then go home and work. And I found out that I checked how much money I have. I had £7.30 British pounds on my account, on my card. It's not even enough to get a family dinner. And that was such a huge shock to my system. So full of, I don't know, shame, and it was real shake up. How did I get here? I have a rich business experience behind me. I was working with scientists and all these people from huge corporations. How did I get here? How did I allow myself to get here? And well, maybe I didn't get all the answers, but what I do know is I went home, I digged out all the business cards I accumulated over those 2 years of networking and going to places, and I called them one by one, trembling and in a very unelegant way, wondering if you're looking for anything I've got to offer you. Can I help you in some way? Can I be of a service to you or anyone you know in some way? And I did that all day. And out of that, there was lots of no's. There was lots of let me think about it. And so forth. There are lots of people who didn't pick up the phone. These were not necessarily cold contacts. I met them, but still. Still on that day, I got, if I remember correctly, roughly speaking, £2,000 of business. And for me, that was a lifesaver. That was a £2,000 that I didn't have. And from then on, I started to ask myself, why wasn't I doing this all along? Why I was so passive? I was thinking I'm doing the business, but I'm not, because I was operating from this ton of limiting beliefs. I guess I've got to prove myself. I've got to work really hard. But I didn't really claim it. I didn't ask. I was waiting. So that was what this bang moment or £7.30 moment did to me. It got me out of that bubble.
£7.30, you can't even get McDonald's with that.
Nope. We were okay that day because my husband, later I called and so forth. So we were okay. We did eat. But
all right. I'm not going to be sending checks to kids that are Slovenian kids in London. So when you went on and rebuilt again, I mean, obviously you just didn't simply pick up from where you left off. You actually built with energy, with identity, with alignment first. First of all, tell us what that actually means, because like you said, you were picking up the phone and you were talking to anyone who would answer their phone. How did you shift from, doing more to actually being more? And why is that different for people?
Yes. Well, as I said, in that period of rebuilding and struggle, I had a few very key moments that led me to business energetics. And probably the main one was when I was still as a trying to rebuild and was looking, how do I do this? I don't want to do anymore what I did exactly before, running NLP trainings and this and that. So what do I actually do? How do I brand myself? What do I actually do to succeed? And as I was contemplating on this for probably a millionth time, and at that moment I was actually sunbathing in our very little modest garden. So I was thinking and thinking and thinking. A question popped into my mind, and the question was, well, if you didn't care about what other people thought of you, and if you didn't care if whether it would work out or not, what would you want to do?
Wow.
And it's from that question, after that, it felt like a millisecond, and in that millisecond, I got all my answers. Of course, if I didn't care what other people thought of me, if I didn't no longer had this need to come across as professional and so forth, or fit into corporate markets and this box and that box and that box, and if I didn't care whether it will work out or not, I would immediately know what to do. It was immediately connect energy and strategy, connect spirit with the world of business, traditional business, connect it, marry it, the soul, and doing. That I knew it immediately. So that became the basis of business energetics. And I did, even though I had to be, at the time, I felt like I had to be courageous and come out of my spiritual closet. And I created a little like mastermind program, just like that. It was all there. Just like that, created that mastermind program for entrepreneurs that connected traditional business and spirituality. And I introduced that program or the mastermind at my next speaking event. And I will never forget. Yes, I was a little bit nervous about it because I never spoke at the time. Today, energy and spirituality is really coming up over here. It's something we don't need to hide. But at the time, it was still quite hush hush. And really not many people were talking about energy or spirituality or soul or anything like that in the business world. But I do remember how I was talking to a room of entrepreneurs and business people, and I introduced this program. I mentioned it, and it even had a word spiritual in the title somewhere, spiritual business mastermind, something like that. I sold it out within 2 weeks. Their eyes were lighting up. Not everyone's eyes, but the eyes in the audience were lighting up. I'll never forget that. It was almost like, oh, this is what we want. Not doing tactic, but connecting it with the spirit and the soul. This is what we want. So I sold it out in 2 weeks. And of course, that was a huge breakthrough in my business. And that was what really led me on this path, because from there, my work, it felt like a coat of fire, and it spread like wildfire. Later on, I wrote a book, and the Business Energetics went into over 180 countries, and I went from that struggle into making millions on repeat, and developed thousands upon thousands audience of clients whose lives are changing. Not only businesses, but lives are changing. But this was the main spark. That question: what would you do if you didn't care what other people thought of you? If you didn't care whether it will work out or not.
Lenka, I'm actually going to take the rest of the day off tomorrow and just go sunbaking in my backyard. You never know what comes from.
Well, you're quite right. I mean, you're laughing, but that's contemplation, and contemplation is almost Yes, forgotten art and science. We business people, entrepreneurs, we like to be so busy, doing. It's still, it was put into us through society, through upbringing. It's through doing that you'll succeed. But actually, sunbathing and contemplation can. I know I use that contemplation all the time now. That and not do even Warren Buffett. I mean, it's not. I didn't invented it. Warren Buffett is was spending more than 50% of the time. It was unstructured through just thinking.
Absolutely. Even
Right,
Isaac
because
Newton.
that's where we're tapping into the deeper intelligence, into intuitive intelligence, which is so much bigger and more potent than our thinking mind.
Absolutely. No, no, I was just saying that even Isaac Newton, he discovered the theory of relativity and gravity because an apple fell on him. No apple would have fallen on him if he was in his office. So it's
Yes,
things like that that a lot of us think we're holding on to whatever system, structure, tactics, and things of that nature, but it doesn't work like
yes,
that. It's like trying to hold water and hoping that it won't escape in your hands. The harder you press your hand, the more it's going
yes.
to escape. And I think that's the energy of what it is that we do as business people, but also just looking at the work that you do in your world, energy plus business strategy, which is basically what what you work with people along with. What sort of misconceptions do people come to you with? And obviously I know it frustrates you because like I was just joking about, so do you want me to go and sit in the I knew I was gonna come to this one.
Yes.
Is there something so wrong about mixing business and spirituality that you'd like to debunk for us?
Ah, what a great question. Well, let's start with the main one. Then the more I work, more I succeed. That amount of action leads to more results. And I know it may feel to many of us as common sense. We were brought like that. It's everywhere. You want to succeed? Well, set for yourself challenging goals and go, go, go. Go, go, go. Prove that you can do it because somebody else outwork others, outthink others. And I lovingly say this is such a BS, such an illusion, such not truth. Because when we even look at the world and the distribution of wealth, isn't it that the most wealthy people work least amount of hours, and unfortunately the poorest aspect of our society work the most, struggle the most? Why is it unfair? Yes, it's unfair, but that's how energy, how the nature, the universe works. That's how the business works as well. There is no equality in there. So it's not action that is the source of results. Is underneath that action, the source is our energy. And just to clarify what our energy is first and foremost our sense of self-identity, who we consider ourselves to be. And of course, also that includes our mind patterning, subconscious mind programming, everything, all the decisions that we made in our past, not just about ourselves, but about how the world should work, about marketing, about selling, about money, and so forth. So beliefs and values, and ultimately the choices, the actions, all of that forms who we are, our energy, from which place we operate, from which place we source those ideas, strategies, what's next. And it's that first and foremost introduces us before we even speak. You know this, you walk into the room, there are some people you're gravitating towards. Yes, and some people are, oh, what's this? Energy sucker. So it's that's the source of our entrepreneurial results of every marketing or sales campaign we put out there. The action part, of course, it needs to be there, but when we talk about business energetics and when we talk about misconception, it's very, very important to turn this route. It's not, what is not serving us anymore is to think, okay, how am I going to do this so I sell out? To put that strategy and action first, logic. Where do I need to go to find my clients? What do I need to do to sell this out? What is the step A, step B, step C? Thinking linearly. This is all what I call reactive consciousness, logic, data, tactics, trying to persuade people and so forth. There's a whole other way to do the business. And that is, I call it in one phrase, creative consciousness. Creative consciousness is when we actually go within ourselves rather than focus groups or look over there and look over there. And we ask ourselves, how would I love to do this? It's ultimately the same question that I was given. What would you do if you didn't care what other people thought of you? What would you do if you didn't care whether it will succeed, or if you knew it would succeed either way? What would you truly want? What do you truly desire? So you would go into fully creative consciousness, just like, for instance, Steve Jobs went.
Yeah.
When he invented pretty much everything, but iPad was such a great example. Nobody asked him for it. Nobody said, no focus group said, Steve Jobs, please, can you invent something that is bigger than iPhone, smaller than your PC, your computer, Apple computer? Nobody did. Nobody. He just came up with this. He said, this will be in every household, because it was in him. In him, he decided, I want to do that. So that's that big misconception, and something that is oftentimes we're being influenced by even without knowing, that it's that reactive consciousness, is that logic, is that is that action that is going to bring us results. Go creative first and let that action and strategy follow. Go to your heart, try it for a month or 2 or 3, where you start trusting intelligence of your heart more than what do you need to do. So that's the main one, I would say.
Like that. You see, while you were talking, I was just thinking, if the guy who cleans the side of our road, you know, if that's how money worked, really, he would be the richest person, because he's working in the heat, in the cold, in the snow, everything else happening around him. Whereas the boss who owns the truck that he moves around with might not even know his name, doesn't even know he owns that truck. He just sees money coming in and things of that nature happening, in business. But this might be foreign to quite a lot of people, when people might think, does this actually work on human beings, or does it actually work on businesses? I mean, your business is built on this energetic alignment, all right? So maybe walk us through, what does a normal day sort of look like when you're actually maintaining that alignment, and also still, making sure you don't have £7.30 in your account at the end of the day? What sort of practices, rituals, non-negotiables
100%.
do you use that people can actually start picking to say, maybe I'm already doing that, I just didn't have a name for it yet?
Sure. Okay. Great question. So let's distinguish, let's say it's a path of logic and reactive consciousness, and we follow the path of energy, creative consciousness. Yes. So to follow the trail of energy, we want to train our intuitive intelligence first and foremost, in a way that we can trust it, and it's very potent. So this is what the geniuses of the world, they naturally developed it already. We all have intuitive intelligence, and intuition, I'm not going to talk about it much, but it's a bridge between the higher self or higher mind and our logical or physical mind. It's the bridge, it's the channel. And just one study is worthwhile mentioning, that the most successful people in the world in entrepreneurship and business, they attribute 80% of their success to their intuitive intelligence, to intuition. Of course, because it's much more potent, we have access to much more. Now, we've got to train it, because every one of us experienced when we followed, quote unquote, followed intuition, and we got burned, we lost money, or we were disappointed, and so forth. Why? Because intuitive guidance will always match your energy. So let's say, if I was lying in that garden back then and was in a state that I often was before, desperate, needy, in a lack consciousness, trying to figure it out. So if I was in that state where I'm trying to solve this problem, this is no good, and asking, how do I do this? I will still get some quote unquote intuitive guidance, what may feel like intuitive guidance, or idea may pop to mind, or solution may pop to mind. But that idea, that intuitive intelligence will be matching the energy from which we are asking from. So you apply that and you'll get more of lack, more of neediness, more desperation. So for me, this is how I essentially attracted into my life that corporate psychopath, because I was in that desperate lack energy, fearful. So that's very worthwhile mentioning. However, when we train our intuitive intelligence, and I'll very happily share the 4-step daily process that I use and I teach my clients, truly miracles can happen. What happens is, metaphorically, and I'll give you a few examples what can happen in business, but metaphorically, let's say, give me a moment. This is not going to be very elegant, but I really, really want to show what can and does happen in business when we follow that energy trail. You know, when we follow the path of logic, it's a little bit like, I'm here and I want to be here, and I will do step A and step B, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to that reactive consciousness, and ultimately, maybe, hopefully, we'll get there. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't. But what we do when we follow energy trail and when we train our intuitive intelligence is this. It's this. We get there, we collapse time, because we're tapping into such vaster amount of what is available to us. We cannot logic our way to it. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So for me, as a business energetics creator, of course, I started to do this internationally. And it was going really, really well. And at one point, I had idea, a calling, it was definitely coming from over here, that go and bring your work, even if it's one program, into your country. My country is tiny little country, Slovakia, 5 million people, and Czech Republic, tiny little territory. The thing is, it would be so much work. So that was the idea. That was the if you like, was coming to me through this 4-step process, the intuitive intelligence. And for a little while, I thought, it's not going to be worth it. It's going to be a ton of work to translate all the materials. I find it more difficult to talk in my native language, because everything I learned was in English in my topic, and that's the way I teach. So translation, and I don't have any team in Slovakia. I would have to do it all by myself. Who is going to pay for it? It's not going to be worth it. It feels like Mount Everest to climb. Still, I decided, you know what? It's actually genuine. It's truly coming from that higher place, as in it's not coming from desperation. I think I don't need to do that. So you know what? I'm going to honor it. Good. Let's do it. I'll bring my work into my country this year. What happened is, almost like miracle by miracle, I got some people found me, that randomly found my book in English, Energetic Selling and Marketing. They read it, they loved it. They wanted to represent me in Slovakia. They helped me to publish my book in Slovakia. They got me to huge stages. They got me huge amount of publicity. The copywriter, everything else came. The help that was needed to write a course just appeared. So I introduced a program in my little country that has got energetics, had energetics in there. It was my first 7-figure program launch in a country where apparently nobody can afford it, nobody pays in business, personal development, let alone energetics. Okay, so for me that was huge at the time and illogical, absolutely illogical. But logically, I would never get myself there, never. And it created so much so much door opening, so much following that one idea trail of energy, which logically I would never go there. Another example, a client who came to me, she not only her business was, she wanted to grow her business, of course, her agency, she wanted to grow her agency, but she felt deeply depressed, if you like. She didn't, it was too much for her. We don't need to know the details. And she decided she's going to work her energy and she's going to follow the energy path. So for about 4 months inside of the Business Energetics Academy, she was working on herself. And then she decided to relaunch her past offering. But because now she was working from completely different place, from different energetic operandos, and her intuition told her, do not create something new. Go and relaunch your program, what you had, using exactly all the launch assets, everything you did before. You don't need to create anything new because you want to work less and so forth. Anyway, she did that, but now because her energetics were different, she doing exactly the same, quadrupled her revenues and created her first 100K month. Okay, doing exactly the same as what she did a year ago, using exactly the same tactics, if you like. Again, why? Because energy has got access, intuitive access to far more than even the most trained logical mind of powerful entrepreneur. That's why. Yes. So how do we do that? The 4-step process that I used religiously to really train my intuitive intelligence. So take time in the morning, anytime you can, earliest in the morning better, earlier in the morning better. So ideally before you engage with the world, because when we start engaging with other people and so forth, we cannot help but we're going into bit of reactive consciousness. So ideally before you engage with other people, but if it's not possible, it doesn't matter. And there are 4 steps to this process. Number 1, address any negativity in your body, in your energy, meaning offload, consciously bring up any negativity that may be in you, any fear, any doubt. So it's simply a question where you check how you feel and you consciously ask if are there any negative emotions, beliefs, any doubts, anything that wants to come up, any stress, anything. And maybe write it down, start writing. Here we're consciously bringing up the energies in whatever way or form that we oftentimes suppress. We don't want to deal with it. May be sometimes they may be very subtle, sometimes there may be severe, a lot of stress, I've got a lot to do, or I'm scared of this, or I'm worried about this. So we oftentimes do not pay attention or don't want to even think about it. I don't want to be negative, I don't have time for it. Well, it's affecting us anyway. These unresolved limiting beliefs and negative emotions and so forth are frozen in our energy field, in our body. influencing our intuitive guidance, our intuitive intelligence, the amount of ideas and so forth we're getting. So we want to bring it up consciously, offload, and create any little thing that will help you to consciously release it. So for me, I simply acknowledge that whatever is coming up is not inherently truth. Just because I'm worried about this happening is not inherently true. It's just energy. Anything that's coming up is not truth, no matter how it looks like truth. It's simply energy. And I will say, when I have got that specificity written down, thank you, I see you, I honor you, I thank you, and I release you. So I imagine it is going out or dissolving, whatever works for you. But it's, or breathing it out is very, very powerful. And imagine it going into maybe a fire that doesn't matter, make it yours. But the point is, spend at least 3 minutes. At the beginning, maybe it may be oftentimes more, but that's okay. But spend 3 minutes, essentially what you're doing here, addressing that negative energy, you're clearing your energy field. So you're already priming for your intuitive intelligence to work better. Second, after that, you will now want to refocus on the greatest idea of success you can access. So what would a fully claimed version of you as entrepreneur, as CEO, as maybe father, mother, a woman, man would look like today? What would be the day like? What would that look like? So start imagining again for 3 minutes. Typically it's enough. Whether it's through visualization, or for some people what works is when I describe, write it down, make it yours. But the point is, you want to feel it in your body, the feeling of the greatest idea of success you can access. This is very, very important because, again, we're priming our intuition to work from this place, from this energy. And then after, when you already, okay, I feel this in my body. And not one additional tip, imagine it as it already happened. So rather than it would be nice sometimes in the future, I'll bring it literally into my body, into now, as if it already, I am that. Okay, I'm already feeling it in my body. I am connected with the greatest idea of my successful self I can access. And it's from here I'll start to listen for intuitive guidance. So there is one great question I'm going to offer you, and that is, how would this version of myself express herself or himself through me today? How does this version of myself wants to express through me today? So in other words, we're almost like asking this vision self that we're feeling in a body, the self that actually pre-exists here and now. We're asking for counsel, for guidance, for maybe business strategy. You, this version of me, you coach me, you guide me. And it's in these, whatever comes are the most potent, profitable strategies, ideas, next steps, and so forth. Sometimes you will get plenty of it, as in sometimes when you listen, I would listen for 3 minutes at least again. I would listen for 3 minutes in silence and maybe then write down everything that comes. Sometimes you will get things that you already know, and that's okay. Take it as it's given to you. And sometimes we'll get nothing, and that's okay as well, because we opened that channel. We primed ourselves, so we may get those best ideas when we walk, when we contemplate, when we have a shower, or in a random moments, and that's perfect too. But that's step 3, listen. So step 1 is essentially clear your energetic field or address negative emotion. Step 2 is connect with that highest version of successful self you can. Step 3 is listen for the guidance. And step 4 is apply one thing from that guidance. Do it. That one thing that, especially if there is one thing that is making me feel uncomfortable, that is beyond my edges, that will move us in a logical way much further. So those are my 4 steps.
Wow. That actually seems like a whole new way to create extraordinary growth in somebody's business, because once you, obviously, when you wake up, a lot of people reach out for their phones. But when you wake up and you actually clear off whatever energy, because I believe when you are sleeping, everything comes up. You can't stop it, right? So you want to automatically be at an even keel and say, okay, whatever came up, whether it was good or bad or whatnot, let's now clear that, whatever it is, so that we can go into connecting with the person that we want to become. So it literally is that be, do, have, scenario, which a lot of people keep talking about. It's not about hiring or more systems or more marketing, right?
Well, it may come. It may come the more hiring or more systems, but they will come as an extension of the energy, and that's very different to then when we through those through hiring, through systems, we try to fix, we try to optimize, we try to grow. It's very, very different. The quality is different.
Absolutely. And the energy is different as well. And for those that are watching or listening, if any part of what Lenka is talking about right now is, bringing something inside of you, maybe it's courage or the collapse of things that you're holding on to, I just want you to type in energetic in the comments there. And I think Lenka will be looking at those and maybe obviously offering whatever advice that she might, depending on your story. Now, Lenka, if somebody is really interested in learning more about this type of work, and you've really picked their interest, or they just want to discover more about how they can actually be the person that they want to become and be confident in that, what can they start by doing? Where can they go on the internet, or what can they read?
Sure. So, first starting point is definitely, when it comes to business energetics, the book Energetic Selling and Marketing. I highly suggest pick this book up. It's revolutionizing businesses already. It's foundation, but it's really good, and it's available on Amazon. I have a YouTube channel where I share loads and loads of business energetics activations, principles, and so forth. And we have, of course, Business Energetics Academy for the full embodiment work. This is where we are truly revolutionizing in time lives and businesses through mastering the energetics of self and the business. I don't know when this episode is coming up, but I'm opening in November, which is coming up very soon, a Business Energetics Collective, which is putting us all together, all those entrepreneurs and coaches, consultants, and so forth, who lead with energy and soul, who believe that this is truly a new paradigm of business. I believe that collectively we have got responsibility to anchor this way as standard in the world, because there's a whole other topic, but I'm so passionate for everyone to use business energetics, not just on an individual level to truly succeed and by doing less and enjoying more fulfillment, but on collective level. We all know that old paradigm of business truly failed us, as in it's responsible for too many breakdowns in marriages, health crises, and even suicides. So we've got to rewire how globally we think of creating success and a business, and it is happening, but together we can make it faster and stronger. So I will be opening the Business Energetics Collective, where I will be coming and doing activations every month, taking us to the higher level of wealth and marketing and selling through energetics, but also creating this collective power of business energetics. Yes. So I had to put it out there.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for that invitation. I will put all those links in the show notes so that people can get started on this journey. Now, Indulge me for a little bit here, Lenka. From what you're saying, you went on a journey. You left, Slovakia, and you landed in the UK with nothing but a backpack full of hopes and dreams. You did that job as an OPA. It did last year. Was it 3 weeks or 3 months? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. And then from there, you then went on your path, started your coaching business. That didn't sort of work out well. And then things happened. Now you've created this whole path of work, which you're now literally right at the top of your game, and you're sending the elevator down for others so that they too can come on the way up in a way that feels authentic to themselves. Now, if somebody would just come at this part of the show, they would just think what you went through, you literally had to go through that so that one day you'd have a good story to tell on the Online Prosperity Show, right?
Yes.
And that also might have been a rite of passage so that you can at least be the person sitting in front of the podium.
Yes.
Documenting, because had you not, because you were saying you were talking before, but it was not connecting because you hadn't connected with the actual energy that needed to happen. And the moment that click happened, everything just started flowing, and all these messages, you were downloading them like you're downloading a game, and you started playing it, and now you've got these rituals that you're following through, etc.
Yes, 100%, 100%. There is partially, I believe that our greatest purpose is revealed through pain, because it's in there we live that polarity, and we also want to, we all experience some pain, right, in lives. Is this idea of paradise, it's all got to be great, it's all got to be fantastic, and only then I'm I don't know, aligned, we say in our own, aligned. So
Love it.
right. I think it's rubbish, because sometimes that pain, or that sometimes even tragedy, which is hard, but sometimes that is part of it, or failure, or a series of whatever it is. It's actually part of that story. It's the same thing, but unless we experience it, we cannot live this. We cannot.
No, absolutely.
So yes, you're quite right, and yes, I often say to my clients, well, number one, this idea of oh, you only aligned when everything is great, nothing, literally you've got paradise. It's rubbish. But also meet yourself where you are. If you are currently in that pain, meet yourself with the deepest compassion. And if you can, because I remember when I was going through it's hard. Of course it's hard, but somewhere deep down what also kept me going was just this knowing that this must be happening for a reason and purpose. Reason is that I will learn something from it, something that, for me, for instance, do not suppress your negative emotion. Do not suppress your limiting beliefs. Any little whisper that comes, because it will come and bite you. For me, at the time, it was, what if I lose the business? What if I lose the business? What if I don't want to deal with that. It will come and bite you. I'm self-manifested that experience. So we always learn through that pain, but also purpose is something positive, something higher. It's preparing you for your best work, for your highest level of success, for best, deepest relationships, and so forth. So you may not know what it is, but mind read, like play with it. What could it be that this is preparing me for? And that's what at the time really kept me going.
Absolutely. Now, Lenka, when we started the show, you introduced us to a 19-year-old who was escaping. And one of the words that you said was escaping in order to find yourself. Now, I'm going to ask you with utmost love and respect. Did you meet Lenka?
I did. And for me, the opportunity is always more of go and meet that 19-year-old or 17-year-old, go and connect with her even more deeply, because ultimately it is her, who it's our inner boys, the children, boys and girls, who are creating these empires.
What are
Yes.
you telling her when you come across her?
I do this.
Right.
I love you. I love myself. Literally just a hug. And also, I allow myself to play. I know my inner child, that version, I didn't do it enough when I was little. And so play and adventure is a huge part of my life. And I see business now. So I've got big, inner child. I love laughter and I love adventure. So I'll honoring my inner child with that as well.
Fantastic. Well, Lenka, I can't thank you enough for, first of all, your life story and your experience and everything else that you did in order for you to be there, and also allowing us to play with you today. I don't know about you, but I'm working right now. So I had so much fun.
Oh, likewise. This was incredible interview. You're just so incredibly good at your work. So I really, really thank you. You're making lots of difference. And my day was made much better. It's still the beginning of the day for me. So I thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you say that while we're recording, because my kids only think I'm good for taking out the garbage, So I'll just cut this part here and make sure that it plays over and over on our way to school. Well, there you have it, folks. Oh my, oh my. And I think this is just a taste of what Lenka has to offer. I mean, we can't compress her life story and all her experiences in a episode of 45 minutes plus commercials. You would have seen what's happening around there and things of that nature. I think we moved from the grassy fields of humble beginnings in Slovakia through to that burning collapse into the realm of energetic resurrection, and we still want more. But obviously, as Lenka has said, she obviously has tools, systems, and processes for you to get started on that journey. So we better release her so she still has time to catch that sun in her garden, because that's where apparently all the ideas are coming from. And I can't thank you enough, Lenka, for the time that we spent today.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you.
Great stuff. So if you're watching this right now and if this conversation struck something inside of you, there's a couple of things that I want you to do. First of all, share this episode with somebody who you know is pushing, striving, or actually feeling stuck. And they just want to hear this story, because apparently there's a new way to create extraordinary growth in your business. And it's not all of that push that we are doing and things of that nature. You literally have to just allow it to start happening. And more on that in, the Energetics Academy. I will be putting all those links in the show notes below. Just check it out and see if it is something that actually suits you. Now, I can't wait to see what each and every one of you guys is going to do with this information, because I literally enjoyed every moment of this. And thank you, Lenka, for just stepping into this space with us today. And also, I want to thank our listeners that are listening right now for leaning in. I can't wait to see what your next level is going to look like. Bye for now.